We are kicking off a new series this morning and I'm just calling it Greater. This was something that God had kind of shared with me coming into the new year. And we were trying to decide what would we do, and God, what kind of word do you have for us, and what are you wanting to speak in our lives? And that was what I felt God just saying, that this year would be greater. And it was kind of one of those moments that we were reflecting back of what happened last year and what all took place. And last year was a great year for our church. It really was, with growth that took place, people that God has placed within our lives to encourage and even coach and direct and all of that. And we know kind of where we're heading. I mean, he shared vision with us, and if you don't know the whole vision of our church, hey, in the next couple of weeks we're going to share it, but we put it on the wall. Have y'all noticed that, the vision wall, whenever you first come in, and where we believe how many noticed that? Okay, others, look around. My goodness, it's right there. Open your eyes when you walk in every now and then. It's right. It almost hits you in the face. I mean, just pay attention every now and then. Walk with your head up instead of down every now and then. Get your chin up. Or as I've learned, older I get, chins. Get your chins up. However it works. But we've God's just put a vision on our heart, and I know you can look right now and think, well, man, we're still small. We are, but we're not staying this way. And if you look at it from the beginning when we came, not quite 3 years ago, and there was, we say 20 because we like to speak evangelistically. If you know what that means, you exaggerate a little bit. We didn't have 20. We had maybe 15. And out of that 15, there's, I think, about 6 or 7 left. So something like that. 6, 7, one of those. And move on. But God's blessed us. Last month, we averaged over 100 for the second time ever. Is December and January. God is just blessed, and I know where He's taken us. And here's what I felt God just speaking to us for our church, is that I've got greater things. I've got greater things ahead of you. Don't settle for this is good. Now, I think so many times we settle for the good when God wants the great. That's right. In our lives, in our vision, in everything, in our homes. So not just as a church, but individually for your life. Don't settle for just the good. Settle for what God has for you, which is the best. And in John chapter 1, I want to read this is the account of not only Philip, but Nathanael becoming a disciple of Christ. And in John chapter 1, verse 43, it says this: the next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, "Come follow me." Philip was from Bethsaida, Andrew and Peter's hometown. Philip went to look for Nathanael and told him, "We have found the very person Moses and the prophets wrote about. His name is Jesus, the son of Joseph from Nazareth." And I love Nathanael's response. Look at this. He went, "Nazareth." I just love that line with an exclamation point. Nazareth. And then Nathanael goes on, he says, Where am I? That's not what he said. Okay, he exclaimed, can anything good come from Nazareth? Here's Philip's response. Come and see for yourself. As they approached, Jesus said, now here is a genuine son of Israel, a man of complete integrity. How do you know about me? Nathanael asked. Jesus replied, I could see you under the fig tree before Philip found you. Then Nathanael exclaimed, Rabbi, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel. And Jesus asked him, do you believe this because I told you I have seen you under the fig tree? And I love this last line. You will see greater things than this. I love that. You will see greater things than this. I don't know about you, but whenever I look at kind of the encounters and where Jesus is calling his disciples to come follow him, some of the others, I'll be honest, I struggle to relate to, but I don't have a problem relating to Nathanael right here. In other words, when he calls Philip just a little bit before and, follow me, and that's it, Jesus, just come follow me, and Philip just follows him. Whenever he's calling Peter, who's fishing, and James and John, who are just fishing. Here they are, they're fishing, and Jesus just says, hey, follow me. And they just leave their nets and just follow. It wasn't any question of things. They just followed. Or when Matthew, Matthew's at the tax collecting table. He's there as a tax collector. And Jesus walks by, follows me, and it says that Matthew just gets up and he just follows him. And I love their faith, their immediate response to things, but I don't know about you. I don't usually have that kind of faith. Come on. And I'm going to guess you don't either. I'm going to guess you need a little bit more info before you make the big decision of just abandoning everything and just following. That's why a Nathanael I can relate to a little bit better. Nathanael's kind of skeptical. Nathanael's just not taking it Philip for his word. Nathanael's questioning some things. Nathanael's even questioning Jesus. You don't see any of the others questioning Jesus. You see them kind of just following, just get up and follow. But Nathanael is a little bit different. He's a little skeptical. And so therefore, I can relate a little bit more to Nathanael. I like especially how he was called. How about that? Because I remember when God called me. I remember when God called me to preach. Here years ago, it was at a youth camp when I was a teenager, and I remember just down at the altar, and I felt God just speaking to me. Now, that I was going to be a preacher and pastor and all these things. He's speaking to my heart. Now I was raised in a pastor's home, so I really knew what that entailed. And I argued with God. I've said before, I think the people who were probably around praying with me thought that is odd because they don't hear what God's saying to me in my heart, but they hear me saying no. Over and over again, like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, I don't want to be poor, God. I've done that my whole life. That's no good. I don't want to pour myself into people and them hurt me. I've seen what that's like with my dad. I've seen all that. So they would have been hearing me say no, and then finally I didn't even say yes. I remember I said, all right. Except I was from Arkansas, really at that time, so I actually said, "I." And Had to break myself from that Arkansas slang. I remember I said, all right. So I can relate a little bit to Nathaniel. It's not just a yes. It's let me wrap my head around this. Let me figure this out. Let me encounter you a little bit. Let me at least talk this through in my mind, in my head, before I just abandon everything and follow this one. And I love how this starts off, where Jesus found Philip. I don't know if you caught that. Jesus found Philip first. Philip begins to follow him. And then the very next thing is you find Philip goes to find Nathanael to introduce him to Jesus, which I think is beautiful. I think this is a lost art. This is something we need to do more. It should be that when I find Christ, my first instinct is to go find someone who doesn't know Christ so that I can introduce them to Christ. That should be my first instinct because I have encountered the one true God. So my instinct should then be, I need to find someone who doesn't know him and introduce them to this. This is the greatest evangelism you see taking place right here at this very beginning. As soon as Philip meets Jesus, he thinks, I've got to find Nathanael who would love to meet and know Jesus. He needs to meet him. This is what this is all about. He's excited. Philip is excited in this moment, and he's searching for him. He looks for him, and he finds him apparently under this fig tree, and he tells him with excitement, he says, we found him. We found Jesus. We found the Messiah. We found the one that Moses talked about. We found the one that the prophets talked about. We found the one who we've been looking for, who they prophesy about. We found the one true God. And I'll tell you, Nathanael, it's Jesus of Nazareth. He probably shouldn't have said that last part, because Nathanael's response is Nazareth. Nazareth. Can anything good, anything at all, can anything good come from Nazareth? Nazareth. In other words, what Nathanael's saying is, I don't believe you. I don't think you found the one. You had me. You had me at Jesus. I was even fine at son of Joseph. But once you threw in Nazareth, I think you have messed up here. I don't think this is the one, because I've been around this whole area my whole life. And I've seen what comes out of this area. And I don't think anything good comes out of Nazareth. In other words, I want you to catch this, because this is where we struggle. Nathanael is placing his belief system off of his experiences. And God's trying to come out and reveal something to him, and he's stuck that I can't believe this because of I've experienced this. And I don't think anything good can come out of this. I mean, it would be like New Caney? New Caney? Hey, I was here years ago. New Caney didn't look like New Caney does now. New Caney, Porter? Really? Can anything good come out of this area? I mean, really? Can anything really good? I've seen what comes out of this area, and nothing seems to be good. I've seen some ran down stuff. I've seen some broken stuff. I've seen addiction. Come on. I've seen poverty. I've seen brokenness. I've seen broken homes. I've seen broken families. I've seen all of these things. And if I'm basing it off of my experiences around me, it would be easy to say, I don't think anything good can come out of it. And when God calls me to this area, it would be easy to say my first instinct is, I don't think so. Not here. This is kind of this idea of Nathanael. He's basing his belief off of his experiences around him, and he's got it set around him that Messiah can't come out of Nazareth because he's been around the area and nothing good can come out of this. It's a stereotype. And I'm telling you, we all do the same thing if we're not careful. Which makes it easy to relate to Nathanael, but it makes it hard to experience what all God has for us. Because we end up doing the same thing. We base our faith, we base our hope, our trust on what we have experienced and what we have seen before. So when we have a problem, we say, how can anything good come out of this? Well, have you ever said that? And as soon as we say it, we limit what God can do, don't we? As soon as I say, how can anything good come out of this? I limit Romans 8:28, for example, which says, and we know that all things come for good to those who love him, who are called according to his purpose, that God takes all and he turns it to good. We limit because we say to ourselves, how can anything good come out of this? How can anything good come out of my life? I know, preacher, I know what you're saying. I know that you're saying that God wants the best for me and he wants greater things in my life, but I've been around my family and I've never seen anything good come out of it. You are quiet on me this morning now. How can anything good come out of this? How can anything good come out of this situation? How can anything good come out of this experience? How can anything good come out of this? In other words, how can Christ come out of my sickness? How can Jesus show up in my trouble? How can hope be rejuvenated in my life when I'm living in despair at the moment? How can anything good come out of Nazareth? This is the moment that Nathanael's dealing with, but it's the moment that we encounter ourselves. From the very beginning, how can anything good happen?
God changed my life.
How can it? You think that, but once you encounter him, it changes, doesn't it? So we have to get out of the place of how can anything good to where we just go to experience. How can anything good? And Nathanael comes to this point. And I love Philip's place because Philip doesn't try and argue with Nathanael. I mean, if you watch this, whenever Nathanael says, from Nazareth, really, how can anything good come out of Nazareth? If it was one of us, if we were Philip, we would have been going, well, if you read your word a little bit more, let me break down some prophecy for you. No, Philip doesn't do any of that. And sometimes we think, well, I can't really speak to people about Christ because I don't know enough and I need to know more. And what if they have questions and how Nathanael asked Philip a question that is rhetorical for one, but one he can't answer. How can anything good come out of Nazareth? And Philip's response is just this: why don't you come and see? Well, why don't you just come and see? Because I know when I met him, it changed my life. So why don't you, if you really want to know, why don't you just come and see? Let me introduce you to him. Let me show you. Let me bring you. Let you have an encounter with him, because you having an encounter with me isn't going to change your life. But if I can get you to have an encounter with him, it will change your life. So why don't you just come and see? Come on, I'll buy you lunch after. Come on, Nathaniel. Just get up. Let's come and see. And let you see for yourself and make the decision for yourself. In other words, quit judging off of your past and come and see him now. You got to see it for yourself, in other words, what he's saying. And then as they're coming up, I want you to just catch this encounter, because when we read it, it's easy to pass over. But as he's coming up, Jesus begins to read a little bit of Nathaniel's mail. Have you ever had that happen? I'll get that when I'm preaching. I'll have people go, it's like you were looking at my Facebook page this week. And you knew what, and I promise you, I really wasn't. Maybe I caught your Facebook. If you post it on Instagram, though, I promise you I didn't see it. So, now you're going to start putting all your stuff there. But here's what, Jesus just begins to read his mail. As they're coming up, here's what Jesus says to him. He says, now there is a true son of Israel. This is a man of integrity. He's saying that as they've never even met. They haven't even talked to one another. Nathaniel hasn't shared anything with him, but what is happening is Jesus speaks right to Nathaniel's heart. In other words, what he is saying, he's speaking to his character. He's saying, look, Nathaniel, I know you are someone who is doing your best to follow the law. You're not like a hypocrite like the Pharisees. You are a true, just child of Israel, son of Israel. You are obeying the laws the best you can. You're trying to serve him. You're trying to do everything right. You are someone with real integrity behind you. You're not this hypocrite. You're not someone who's acting one way but really living another way. You really are. And what he's doing is he has caught Nathaniel's character. He knows within him, in that one statement, that Nathaniel really is. He's trying to live his best. He's trying to do what's right. So when Philip's bringing him and saying, look, we've met the Messiah, Nathaniel's first instinct would be, I don't think you have. I've got to see this for myself, because there's a lot of other people around claiming to be Messiahs, and I don't know if I can trust you. I can't just trust everyone who says we've met the one. This is Nathaniel's. So he's even feeding into Nathaniel's skepticism. He's reading his mail, in other words. Come on. And isn't that the moment that things change in your life? When God just kind of reads your mail. When we really want that, we really want that relationship. And Nathaniel's response, still a little skeptical, he says to him, how do you know me? To even say that. To even say, I'm a child. You don't know me. You don't know me from anybody. We've never met before. How are you proclaiming there's a real son of Israel? Yeah, it touches me, but you don't know me. And this is what Jesus says to him. He says, Nathaniel, I saw you. I saw you under the fig tree way before Philip found you. I saw you when you were all alone. I saw you when you were questioning things before Philip came to you. I saw you when nobody else saw you. In other words, I knew you before you knew me. There's where relationship happens. Isn't that, when you think about it, isn't that what really drew you to Christ? when he saw you at your lowest. He saw you when you felt alone. He saw you when nobody else seemed to catch you, to recognize you, to notice you. In that moment when that real encounter with Christ happens, and that's when everything changes. I remember when we pastored in Indiana. I think, and I've shared this, I believe, with you before, but there's a lady in our church who she came for a while. She came because her teenage daughter would come to our youth group on Wednesday nights, and teenage daughter came to our youth group because we had a lot of teenage boys in our youth group. And the teenage boys really liked her teenage daughter too, so that was good. Hey, I'll tell you what, I remember as a youth pastor, you can build a youth if you've got some girls and boys that are good looking who come. I mean, you'll get people coming just for that, I promise you. But her daughter would come to our youth, and her daughter would want to come on Sundays then. So every now and then her mom would bring her. And our mom had really gone through some rough stuff. Just a mess. Their life. Going through divorce and everything. She was just struggling so hard. And she had come to church and she was skeptical. And she had sat in the back. And my goodness, she did not smile at all. I would have thought, my goodness, she hates it. I remember I would notice. And I would tell my wife, well, she was there. I don't think she'll come back. She hated it. You could tell by her face. She just hated it. Really, she hated life. But she'd keep coming. Never smile. Always just hurting and broken. And then there's a moment things changed. And then she's becoming more faithful. Nothing real huge. She's just coming a little bit more, and then she'd even come on Wednesday nights whenever we'd have the youth, and I remember we said, well, why don't we would you be willing to teach one of our kid classes? Well, I don't know enough about the Bible. Well, that's perfect. You'll learn as they learn. Just follow it. And we asked her one time, we said, this was years later, said, what was it that really changed? Because I remember seeing you when you first came and you hated it. She said, well, I didn't hate it. But every Sunday you would say something, and I hated that because it was hitting right at home. It's like you were talking right to me. And I would cry in the back a little bit, but I didn't want people to notice I'm crying, so I'm covering up best I can, and I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. I remember all this, and she said, you kept kind of talking this relationship with God, and there was one moment. The kids were all gone out of the house. This one was with their dad, and that one with their dad. And here I'm broken, divorced. I feel alone. I feel ashamed of where I'm at. All of this. And I'm just crying. And I remember the first time I said, God, if you're real, I want to feel you. And she said, it is like at that moment, I've never experienced it before. It was like God wrapped his arms around me. And here I was all alone, but I felt God there with me. It was when no one else saw me, he saw me. When no one else was around, I felt him around. And I've never encountered that before in my life. It was the first time because she said, I grew up in traditional religion. I grew up to where God's here, we're here, and that's it. That God's sovereign above all. And here we are just living life. And we never really had a connection that never really was taught there could be a relationship. And for the first time, it wasn't God up here and me down here. It was me down here, and God, even though he's up there, he was right here with me. And it changed my life at that moment. It went from just being knowledge to a relationship with him. It changed me in my despair, in my brokenness, in my hurting. I felt hope in him for the first time ever. And I never want to lose that. That is what changed her. That is when she really found out who he was. I say that because this is Nathanael. Just in that moment when Jesus says, look, I saw you under the tree when no one else was around. I saw you when you were all alone, but I was with you there. I was with you at that moment. And Nathanael feels that, and his response then was this. He says, you truly are the Son of God. You are, I feel it, there's a difference. You are the Son of God. Way before Peter proclaims it later on, Nathanael proclaims it right then. You are the Son of God. You know me in this relationship all because God reads his mail in that moment, and there's this encounter, and Nathanael knows it. He's peeling back layers and layers and layers in his life, pulling back and revealing hurt and pains and all of this from his life from before, speaking right to his very core, to his being, to his heart, and it changes Nathanael. And Jesus' response to him after that is this. Wait, you believe because I said I saw you under the tree? That's nothing. We're just getting started on this journey. If you just stay there, Nathanael, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. Come and follow me, and you're going to see some greater things than just that. And here's what I want to tell you. Don't stop at just an encounter with Christ. Follow him, and let's see the greater. Don't stop at just, well, I believe in him and that's it. No. Follow him and let's see the greater things begin to take place. Let's see what he really has in store for us. And can you imagine what Nathanael saw? I mean, they go from right here. This is the very end of that first chapter. The very beginning of the second chapter of John is where Jesus goes to a wedding and they run out of wine at the wedding. What a disgrace. And he says, hey, I've got a miracle for you right here. Why don't you get some water jugs? Let's fill them up. I'm going to show you something you've never seen before. And Nathanael saw it. Can you imagine? It goes from just I saw you under a fig tree to now the very next day, and he's seeing water turn into wine. He gets to see dead Lazarus come out of a tomb after being dead for 4 days. Nathanael gets to see feeding 5,000 with just 5 loaves and 2 fish. He gets to see later just a backup trick of feeding 4,000, if you will, with just a little little bit less. I mean, he gets to see the deaf hear, the leopards get restored. He gets to see the blind begin to see. He gets to see Jesus walking on water and Peter trying it out for a little bit. He gets to see all of this. Why? Because he didn't stay under a fig tree just saying, look at me, God. No, he got up and said, I want a relationship with you. I want to follow you. I want more than just this. I want the best in my life. I want to see the greater things come to pass. All because he got rid of this idea that it can't happen and said, I'm following you. I'm believing in you. I'm trusting in you. And I'll see the best in my life take place. I'm telling you, listen. God's got greater for you. God's got greater for this church. God's got greater for your life. God's got greater for your marriage. God's got greater for your family. He's got greater things in store for you. Don't settle for the least amount. Get up and follow him. Get up and follow him. Don't get stuck under the tree watching everybody else follow. Get up and follow him. I want our worship team to come back, whoever's all coming. Man, the things Nathaniel saw. Because he followed. And it had to have been amazing to him after he has seen all the miracles take place. And listen, we don't even know all the miracles that happened that Jesus did. John, when he's writing his gospel, he says, look, if we were to write everything that Jesus did, there wouldn't be enough pages in the world to write that book. We just had to highlight some stuff for you. Nathaniel saw stuff we don't even know about. Nathaniel saw great, amazing, mind-blowing thing. I'm just thinking. He saw coins come out of a fish's mouth to pay a tax that needed to be paid. He would have seen them fishing all night. And not catching anything. Jesus walks up and says, why don't you try the other side of the boat? All right. And catching so many fish they can't haul it in. He would have saw amazing things. And it had to have been just mind-blowing to him again whenever Jesus is about to die, be betrayed and die. And he's speaking now to the disciples, Nathaniel, one of them. And he says this in John 14 and 12. Jesus says, I tell you the truth, anyone who believes in me will do the same works I have done. That would have been like, whoa. I mean, I've seen some great stuff, Jesus. You blew my mind. I truly saw the greater things. And now you're saying, I'll do those too? And then Jesus adds on a little extra and says, and even greater. You'll do what I did and even greater. Because I'm going to the Father. Listen, you can ask anything in my name, and I'll do it so that the Son can bring glory to the Father. Yes, ask me for anything in my name, and I'll do it. Or you can think of this. He tells Nathanael at their encounter, look, you're going to see some greater things than this. I know I read your mail. That's establishing a relationship. But if you follow me, you're going to see some greater things than this. You're going to look back and like, I can't believe what happened. And now he's being told again by Jesus, look, all those things you saw, you're going to do. But listen, because I'm God and I'm not just one that just settles, even greater stuff you'll do. Wow. I feel it's a crime, shame for us to settle when God's wanting to do greater. Oh, will you stand with me? Yeah, I know you might be thinking, I don't know about, and Pastor, I'm at the moment of despair in my life, and you're talking greater. Listen, because God's got greater. He wants the relationship with you, but man, he's got greater. He's got some better things. He's got greater things in store. In fact, Paul put it this way in Ephesians chapter 3. He said, now to him who is able to do, I love this line, exceedingly, abundantly, above all that we ask or think, according to the power in us, that works in us. Him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus to all generations forever and ever. Amen. To him who is able. Think of that. Exceedingly, abundantly, above all that you could ever, think of anything you could imagine. If you just let your mind go and say, man, God, could God do this? And Paul's saying if you can think it, he can do exceedingly and above, abundantly, whatever you're thinking, if he gets the glory. He's got greater things in store for you.